Good. Well, making sure I can see everybody's chat when I talk. Good. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes,
Got
I
it?
can see your screen. Yes.
Cool. Thank you, Rafael. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Kevin Wee. If we have any Mandarin speaking people today, it's Huang Kewen. So we're very nice to see all of you today, and welcome to the Charlotte Tableau User Group on Friday. Today I'll be talking about finding sparks, my sources of inspiration for infographic design. So let's get started. Today I'll separate my talks into 3 sessions. We're going to start by sharing the inspirations to some of my Tableau public visualizations. Then we will jump into talking about how you may curate reservoirs of inspirations so that you may start accumulating the visualizations or projects that you deem interesting so that for your future projects, you may leverage these inspirations. We're going to end the conversation with talking about how to properly give credits where credit's due, so that you may pay tribute to the data visualization creators that came before you. If we have extra time, I'll share more resources with all of you so that you may create infographics in the future with more tools. So with that said, let's begin. Let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I started using Tableau in 2019. I was a PhD in chemistry. If we have any chemists today, hi. I decided to switch career after getting my PhD in 2021. I switched to credit cards and banking. I started as a I started as a senior analyst at Discover in 2021, and actually I'm about 1 week short of my 4th year anniversary at Discover. I'm currently the lead BI analyst, where my job at Discover are twofolds. Number one, I help to train new analysts inside the company to leverage the power of Tableau and data visualization in dashboard and report creation. I'm also the BI developer in the company, where basically I act as an internal business consultant, where the marketing manager, the campaign manager, whenever they want to know the performance of their campaign or marketing channels and stuff, they reach out to me, and then I will help them monitor their performances using a newly developed dashboard or to revamp the existing dashboard. I am a Tableau visionary and a Tableau ambassador. A lot of this terminology didn't mean much to most people. That's just a way to say that I'm very passionate in helping other Tableau users to maximize the capacity of the software that we're using. I have a lot of online content where I share tips in dashboard design and infographic creation. I have also been giving on-stage presentations in the last 3 years at Tableau conferences. So I just love giving back, and feel free to reach out to me later, even after the call, if you have any questions. So enough about me. Now, let's talk about you. By the end of today's session, you should be able to do the following 3 things. Number one, you should be able to describe at least 3 source types that has sparked my infographic design. I'll share with you more than 3, but just remember 3. I think that's more than enough for a Friday afternoon session. Number 2, you should be able to access resources as inspiration reservoirs for your own future projects. It could be for business dashboard developments or infographic design. Number 3, you should be able to list 3 ways to credit sources properly that has inspired the creations of your visualization. So, with that said, now let's go back and talk a little bit about myself. If any of you have came across my Tableau public portfolio, you will notice that I have around 60-ish visualizations on my Tableau public profile since the October of 2020. A lot of these visualizations are pretty typical. They are business dashboards, but the fact is the majority of my dashboard are what I call infographic dashboards. These are not about specific sales or business or marketing. It's nothing that serious. They're more artistic. As a result, I was allowed to use unconventional chart types. And as opposed to the business dashboard that we see at work, where the analyst is supposed to get the insight, read the numbers, spot the trends and outlier, and then immediately get back to work. For my infographic design, for my infographic dashboards, I always want the users to spend more time to appreciate the details, the design. I want people to play with these dashboards. So let me show a couple of examples, just so we can be on the same page, what I mean by infographic dashboard. Okay, move things around here. So this is my Tableau public account. I highly recommend you to follow me because if you follow me every time when I spot a new and cool visualization and when I favorite them, you would be exposed to them as well. So you kind of learn by association. We're going to talk more about that later. But here, let me just show you some of my recent examples. For example, this is a visualizations about a movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. How many of you have seen that movie? Can you put it in the chat if you have done so? The movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. I believe it's the Oscar Best Picture in 2023. So this is a visualizations about every film played by the cast of that movie. Every tiny circle represents a film. And then the bigger the film, the bigger the circle, more people voted for that film on IMDb. And the brighter the color, the higher the scoring is. So the bigger, brighter it is, the bigger deal that movie is. For example, Avengers. Of course, a lot of people have seen it, have voted for it, and they liked it. How about this one? That's Guardians of the Galaxy. Has a lot of Michelle Yeoh's in it. Let me try to find Crazy Rich Asian. I'm not sure where's Crazy Rich Asian. That one maybe? Nope. I forgot. Is it that one? It's okay. You can play with this visualization later. But my point is, this is a visualization, what I call an infographic dashboard. There's nothing about any serious topic here. It's just for people to enjoy the content and enjoy the artistry and my creativity as a Tableau creator. Another example that I like to show you is this dashboard about podcasts. I am a heavy podcast listener, especially when I'm on a treadmill. This showed the top 12, my top 12 favorite data podcasts. These are the podcasts about data analytics practices, data visualization, data storytelling, and career. And I've been tracking these episodes since 2020 till the September of 2024. And basically, I tracked how many episodes been released within this time range, what's the usual episode length, and then on which day of a week it usually was released. For example, you can see that Data Plus Love, which is by Zach Bowders, a Tableau visionary. He has so many episodes here, and they're always around 30 to 45 minutes, and he always released them on Wednesday. Another example would be the Analytics Power. I think Analytics Powers, they're highly consistent. Every month, they publish 2 episodes, and they're in a longer episodes. Like each episode's 45 to 60 minutes, and they always publish these episodes on Tuesday. So this would be another example of an infographic dashboard where you can get some information, but it's mostly edutainment, like educational and entertainment. So where did I get the ideas for all this dashboard? Now let's jump back to the presentation. Now I'm going to use about 8 to 9 examples. I'm going to show this dashboard and I'm going to talk about where I got inspirations from. So it's just going to be a lot of use cases where I keep showing you different ways I have obtained these ideas. And you know what? I'm going to do that on online because it doesn't make sense to show you the dashboard without the interactivity. So first of all, I'm going to start by showing you my Bob Ross dashboard. So in 2020, I created this dashboard for Makeover Monday Challenge. How many of you have participated Makeover Monday Challenge before? Could you put it in the chat? Raphael, very nice. Zayed as well. Zayed. Cool. Jordan. Yeah. So we have a couple of people been participating in the Makeover Monday Challenge. For those who are not familiar with the challenge, it is a challenge where on Sunday they will show a rather small data set and then with a not so well designed chart. And then your job is to download the data set and to create a version of the chart that's better than the existing one. So in this week, I was given a data set about everything that Bob Ross been painted in every episodes of his show, The Joy of Painting, from 1983 to 1994. And then I did some analysis on it. I decided to use a new chart type called the upset chart to represent what he's been painting, and then in different painting, what are the common combinations of things in his painting. All of you have seen a Venn diagram before, right? So this is basically a variations of Venn diagram when you have more than 3 circles. We all know how things could be very chaotic if you have, let's say, 4, 5, 6 circles for a Venn diagram. So this is basically taking apart the Venn diagrams. Every row represents a circle in this case, and every column represents a segment where the circles overlap. So for example, here you can see that 95% of the painting involves some kind of floral. So they could be any kind of trees, grass, flowers, cactus. 76% of the paintings are about the lake, the river, the waterfall, so something about the water, and so on. And when it comes to combination, the most common combinations would be some trees, some water, some atmosphere, and then the landscape, like mountains and stuff. And then you can see that when you hover over different bar, the painting on the top left, it actually will show different combination. Can you see that? And you're not going to believe this. I made the painting on PowerPoint. This is before I've learned Figma, which was a new tool back then. But my point was I combined an upset chart with a painting that's dynamic. I actually got the idea of the upset chart from a website called Xenographics. I'm not going to show you that website because it's not updated anymore, but basically, if you go online and find the term upset plot, you will see how how people explain how the upset plot works. And actually, if you go to Tableau Public, this is actually the upset plot that I found, where I believe Chris Love also provided a blog explaining how he created this chart. So I got my design from Chris Love's blog and his chart. So Bob Ross. The second example I like to show is another visualization for another data challenge. How many of you have heard of the challenge Back to Vis Basic? I believe Back to Vis Basic is currently hosted by Eric Balash, Shreya, and there's another person that I don't have the name at the top of my head. I apologize for that. Back to Vis Basic, it's a bi-weekly challenge where every 2 weeks, the host will release a topic and a data set, and then you have to create a chart to answer to that short prompt. There's no ugly pre-visualizations involved, but it's more like you honing different specific aspect in Tableau visualization. I don't remember what's the topic of this week's challenge, but the data set that was given to us was every participant's of Back to This Basic and every visualization that they created since the beginning of the challenge till 2022, week 25. When I received this data set, I wanted to, it was very clear for me that number one, I didn't want to compare the participants, at least not at first. I want to celebrate everybody's accomplishment. I want to see this as a community effort. So I want to build everybody up. I want the visualization to convey that feeling. And number two is I want each of the participant being able to find their own data set and then play with it, to kind of take a screenshot of it, try and find yourself in a visualization. So here's what I did. I created this pixel art-ish triangle mural on top. Each triangle represent a participant of Back to This Basic when you click around like this. And then at the bottom here, it will show you which week that participant has submitted a visualization. So I'm just going to randomly click some people here and there. You can see that some people participated a lot, very consistently. Some people only participated in a couple of weeks, which all are fine. And if someone's visualization was selected as Viz of the day, it will be shown in a different color. I know that some people is going to be like, you know what, Kevin, I want to at first quickly tell who are, full participant, who are the people that have been participating in it every month. So I also created this toggle switcher on the top right. If you click yes, it would turn the triangles into a bubble charts. So then now it looks very polka dotty, and then the bigger dot represent more submission a person has. For example, Yoshie, she, I believe it's a she participated in every week's challenge almost. Let's say, I believe that's me. Yeah, and that is me in the center because my first name starts with a K. Yes. So I allow people to, quickly see everybody's submissions if they want to, but I didn't want to promote the competition between participants. That's why by default, it's just triangle. I actually got the idea of creating these visualizations from pixel art. I love playing video games. Growing up, I played video games like Mario, Metal Slug, what do you call that thing? Sonic the Hedgehog, the very two-dimensional game. So I'm very familiar with pixel font. So I just thought this is an excellent use of pixel font. Also, actually, this visualization was conceived when I was taking the train in downtown Chicago back to my home in the north. I was taking the train and I just came across so many LED signs. I remember one day I stared at one of the signs. I'm like, yep, I'm going to create something that look like that. So turn out your day-to-day mundane life could be inspirational too if you are paying enough attention. The third case I like to show is this visualizations. It's a little bit big. Let me make it smaller a little bit. So this is a visualization I created for another data challenge called EduVisors. Admittedly, it's not the most famous data challenge because I believe it's on monthly basis. And the data set is highly specific on educational topic. In this week, in 2023 of August, they provided data sets about every school, every higher educational institutes in the United States that provides a program called data analytics, like exactly that name, data analytics. And it has so many informations about these programs involving whether they're in the city or not, whether the institute provide housing or not, what are the different metrics such as student population, graduation rates, and so on. So it's a huge data set, and with geographical data, of course, on about where that school, which county that school is in. So it's a huge data set. And eventually I landed on this result where on the left side, we show you the exact locations of the school. And on the right side, we show you the bars, show you the aggregated distributions of each of these metrics and dimensions. And the yellow dot actually show you this specific school, what kind of programs it has, what kind of values it has, and then where do they sit in terms of various student metrics? I'm from Purdue. Is anyone here from Purdue? Nope. Let's look at Purdue. Purdue University Global. Purdue here, you can see that Purdue, when I click on Purdue, the whole line was shift to Purdue. And then now we're talking about Purdue. Purdue provide all of this different degrees and certifications is in the city. I wouldn't call Purdue a city, but it's big enough. Purdue University Global does not provide housing. Oh, I know why, because Purdue University Global is very close to Chicago, I think. Yeah, and then high student populations, okay, above average undergraduate percentage, maybe not above average, definitely under average undergraduate student percentage. We have a lot of graduate student, very cheap in terms of pricing, and very unfortunately rather low when it comes to graduation rate. Let's see, let's find North Carolina here. Let's do, where will be the North one? Let's do Guilford College. Here you can see the Guilford College, it only provide certain degrees. So it's very restrictive. It's still in the city, providing housing, rather low student population, but high undergraduate rate, okay graduation rate, and when it comes to pricing, it's in the middle, slightly more expensive. So this is a visualization, highly interactive. This visualization is actually inspired by a couple of prior projects. Number one, it was inspired by my, this line was actually inspired by my Back to Vis Basic project, like the same line here. I made it and no one has made it before me, I believe. And also, but the map design is actually inspired by Ladipo's work. Ladipo is a Tableau ambassador. A couple years before me, he created these visualizations about county median home price in the United States. And you can see that even though apparently, I think he used PowerPoint or Adobe to create this annotation. So this annotation, his annotation is static, but when I try to push the envelope, I try to make it dynamic. That's why I created the whole thing on using the map layer. The glowy, large yellow circle design idea, I got it from Dennis Count, Hot and Heavy and Safe in the United States, in New York City. This is a visualization about New York City condom availability program. And this is New York City, and then whenever there's a pink glow, it means that we have a venue there provide safer sex products. So I kind of get that idea from him. And this part where we have histograms, and then under the histogram, there's some indications about a specific school. This actually, I got the idea from one of my own previous projects where I basically created this cluster of small multiple histograms, and then a triangle represent a specific seasons and a specific NBA referees foul call statistics. So basically, I'm kind of like, building my own project as well. So now you can see that sometimes one project, it can have multiple inspirations from your own, from other people, from Tableau or not from Tableau. Let's see. How are we doing in times? Okay, 30 minutes. Going back to the everything everywhere all at once. This is the visualizations that I just shown earlier. But where did I get the idea of creating something so radical, radial, and non-conventional? For anyone that have seen the movie uses circle as a motives a lot. It show up in the costume of the main villain. It's actually a representation. It's actually a bagel, and everything bagel. This bagel actually represents a black hole that sucked everything in when the villain and the main character's world falling apart. So I was trying to use this as a motive in my infographic. I also took a lot of inspirations in the movie poster as well, because if you can see that in the movie poster, you can see how they place the movie name inside in the center of the bagel. And then the font's always super thick, left and right aligned. So when I created this visualization, I tried to leverage the same design. But of course, I need to put more information on the other side. So I shoved the bagel on the left to make more space for the big aggregated numbers, for the descriptions and the credit. How many of you have seen Star Trek before? Do we have Trekkie here, or everybody's here just love Star Wars way more? Many years ago, the Back to Basics Basic Challenge has a problem where it's about tree map, and the data set, it's about every episode, the name, the season of the episode in Star Trek since the very beginning. And I created this visualization and showing every square, showing the episode, one episode of the show. And then of course it's arranged by season. And we provide how to read the chart texture on the right side. And then the design of these visualizations, for those who are familiar with it, this is basically very similar to the design of the UI on a spaceship. They call it L cars. And when you click on the buttons on the top right, you will shift the chart. So kind of create some sort of interactivity here. This visualization was my very first visit of the day on Tableau Public. I think as of now, I have about 6, 7, maybe. But this was my very first chapter. I was inspired to create this visualization from, number one, Zach Bowder's visualization. At first, he just separated them based on the release day, and then each episode, each seasons, and then how many, each season, and then each series and how many seasons it is. That was his. When I look at this, I was like, this is cool and good, but what if it moves? Because Zach's visualization, especially this one particular, didn't have any animation. And I love animation, as you have seen. And so I went online, I went and see, you know what? I didn't know much about Star Trek, but I know that it's very sci-fi. What if I just made the whole thing look very sci-fi looking? So I went online and I learned that their spaceship and all of the technologies in the TV series leverage something that they call L cars. So you see a lot of interactivity, in a lot of interface that look like this for their spaceship, for their phones, and so on. But I also know that when that visualization was made, the latest series was Picard. And in Picard, they leverage a new color palette, which is this more gray, red, blue color palette. So that's why I chose this to be my color palette for my visualization, to make it look modern, but also very fitting to the topic. So TVs, movies, and the sci-fi interactivities in this medium could be leveraged as inspiration. But how about food? Can we use food as inspiration as well? About a year ago, last Chinese New Year, not this one, last Chinese New Year, right before Chinese New Year, I created this visualization to showcase the nutrition value of dim sum dishes. How many of you have had dim sum before? I'm not sure how prominent dim sum is in Charlotte, but in Chicago, I am within walking distance from Chinatown. Do we have any dim sum eater, or dim sum lover here? If we don't have, and that's all right, I'm going to show some of the pictures of it. Maybe I could introduce the food for you. So I am a Cantonese. Cantonese, it's a small part of China where our foods are very beautiful. Like they're also, highly, seasoned and cholesterol, but that's not the point. The point is that they're very beautiful, very delicious, and I love eating them growing up. This visualization show you each of the famous, I believe 30 dim sum dishes, and then their nutrition values, such as total carbohydrates, total fat, cholesterol, the dietary fiber, protein, sodium, so on. Basically, they are the numbers behind the food packaging. And then I normalize them against the recommended intake value, and come up with a percentage. Basically, the higher the percentage, the more it has compared to what you're supposed to eat of one day. For example, this soup dumpling, it's high protein, but it also has very high sodium content compared to what you're supposed to intake in a day. Something that's more famous, such as siu mai, Chinese food, and then it's rather low when it comes to most of the nutrient, but it has relatively high cholesterol and sodium as well. And I use the color green to highlight the ones that are my favorite. For those who have seen dim sum before, they look like this. The small little petite food always come in a bamboo cage like this, and they never mix them. That's why they're all supposed to be separated when you consume them. That's part of the reason why when I created that visualization, I separated most of them, all of them. I never pull the metrics together because you're not supposed to mix the metric together because everybody eat different combinations of them, right? And I also know that as a dim sum food lover, I know that in many dim sum dishes, lotus seed, lotus root, or lotus leaves, they are part of the food ingredients. So when I created that visualization, I used lotus as the motif, and then just to show a little bit subtle Chinese culture there, but make it relevant to the topic. And this visualization, you can see that you can use bar chart to represent everything, right? But if I use bar chart, no one's going to take a look at it. So I use pink and purple and lotus motifs to attract attention. You're not going to believe this, but this visualization, when I first started the project, I thought I was going to create something that looked like this visualization from Ken Fleuridge. I don't think he's here today, but shout out to you, Ken, if you watch this in the future. Ken Fleuridge created this visualization. Basically, it looked like a, what do you call that thing? A spider chart, but instead of using the line, he used area in each sector to represent different metrics. This one's about ranking presidents of the United States, and then I believe different sector represent a different metric. The bigger it is, the better it is, I guess. Originally, I was going to use a similar design, but then I quickly realized that if I go full circle, it's going to be way too space consuming for me. That's why I only use half circle. But then if I look at half circle, I didn't want to use different petal size to represent the value because then the lotus would look very crooked. Originally, I was going to do something like this. This is a visualization by Federica Fragapane. She is an Italian data visualization practitioner, not using Tableau. I think she did everything on Adobe. This is a visualization about the release of carbon dioxide of different countries over the years. This is not lotus, but somehow that day when I look at this, I was like, this looks like lotus. So I decided to flip this design, and instead of using the size of the petal, I used the color of the petal to represent my value. So that's how my thinking step works. Okay, so these are different examples. Before I jump into the next session, I'm just going to show you one final example. That is for my last Iron Viz submission. How many of you have participated in any of the Iron Viz qualifier before? Or if you are considering participating in it this year? Anita, are you going to do it?
I don't think I'll go past the first stage.
I'm sorry, what? You're like, why am I being called out?
I was
Nonetheless,
actually just laughing, but I don't think my race will qualify for anything.
It's okay. Maybe you could respond using the chat. I think something's wrong with your microphone setting. Nonetheless, I'm just going to show you what I submitted for the qualifier last year. I made a long form visualization showcasing all of the Broadway musicals that have been turned into movies from 2000 to 2022. There are actually 22 English-speaking movies released in this time range that were adapted from Broadway. You can see that I started the whole thing looking like this. And then this is this long strip of movie tickets. Each of the tickets showing you some of the basic information about that movie, and then whether I have watched the movie before. And if you scroll to the bottom, there are just different stories about these Broadway show or movie from when it was released on Broadway till the year it was adapted. And then on what kind of awards these movies and shows been received, to what's their scoring and voting on IMDb, to the albums on Spotify, and then how popular they are, comparing the theater versions and the movie adaptation, and then more specific metrics about the comparisons of these albums, some random fun fact, and then my own conclusion. And I ended everything like an end credit, like in a movie. So this is the longest, biggest visualization I've ever created in my life. This visualizations was inspired by many projects. Number one, I'm a theater boy. I love watching shows and musicals, stuff that are flashy. The illustration style, I adapted it from this illustrators, Alexei. He created this illustrator, and I saw it on Dribble. And then basically I took the color palette here and then use it to recreate my visualization, as you can tell. The facade of my visualization here, it's actually direct copy of Chicago Theater, which is within walking distance from my apartment. That's Chicago Theater. You can see it's exactly the same thing. I basically upload this image on my Figma and I just start to draw it. And also, this ticket design here is actually mimicking vintage movie tickets where they came in a row, and then everybody that come in, they just, rip it off and then give it to the audience. So I'm trying to make it look a little bit vintage. So, and of course, the ending looks like movie end credit, right? Just trying to make it very immersive for the reader of this visualization. So real life objects, real life symbols and design can be leveraged in your data visualization as well. I've talked so much about all of these different inspirations for my own project, but now let's talk about you. What are you going to do about this? You're not going to see what I see, right? You're not going to be able to experience what I experience. You're not going to be able to pick my brain as well. So how could you find your own inspiration? Here are the different reservoirs I like to introduce to you so that you may find and curate your own favorite visualization in them. Let me close all of this and then close. Otherwise, it's going to give me a heart attack here. Okay, let's see. Close, close, close. Move this one here. So here are the different websites that you may leverage to find inspiration. Number one, Tableau Public. Can you raise your hand or put a +1 in the chat if you have a Tableau Public account? Of course, Raphael. Okay. We have a couple of people. Great. For those who doesn't have a Tableau Public account, I highly recommend you to get it for your professional development sakes, for job security, for career, and just for inspirations. It's free to register. You don't have to pay for a cent, and you get to download the Tableau Public app on your laptop for free as well to handle dataset less than 10 million rows. So you'll be fine. You can leverage it. Tableau Public, a lot of people thought, oh, I'm not creating anything. Why do I need a Tableau Public? Today, I'm not going to talk about publishing anything on Tableau Public. I'm talking about using Tableau Public as a reader. I always go to the landing page. There's so many things in the landing page for me to learn as a data visualization practitioner. For example, Viz of the Day, where the Tableau Public management team, every day they curate visualizations of good quality and they feature them. These visualizations, they can be business dashboard or something more infographics, right? Like this one's by George Casaros. It's a shark attacked records in Australia, or something that made. Let's see what caught my eyes. This one by Ashley Delarm, which is my coworker. She visualized every assignment she had in her master program in UX UI. So using this as a newspaper to see what's interesting to you, you can, when you see anything you like, go in it, read it, play with it, or even if you want to, you can talk to, I believe now you can favorite that visualization. So when you curate a lot of the visualization that you like, you can go to your own profile and then see what visualizations that you've been liking. So when you create a new visualization, you can use this as sparks of ideas. Going back to the landing page, you can also check out sessions such as recent activities. In recent activities, anyone that you follow, as long as they publish anything or has favorite anything, you would see it. That's why I highly recommend you to follow me on Tableau Public, because if I have seen anything good, you would learn about that thing too when you check your Tableau Public portfolio. I also like to check the trending part. These are just like in general, which visualizations are newly published or recently been watched a lot. If you scroll to the bottom more, a lot of people didn't realize that there are specific visualizations curated under specific topics. Some of you may be a sport fan. You like to see data about sports. So click on here, you see a lot of this good design visualizations. Some of them is about data pride or about maps, about art and cultures, and so on. So you don't need to be a creator to leverage Tableau Public. You can use it for your own inspirations. Number two, I'd like to introduce you to it's the Data Fam Roundup. It's basically a weekly newspaper released by Tableau on Friday afternoon around this time, where they would curate what's new in the Data Fam community, who has created anything new and interesting. You can see that every week, every Friday, right? Whenever an ambassador or visionary created something interesting, it's usually featured in here. So you can see, just to read about the latest creation, latest creativity for your own, continuous inspiration stream. Tableau Public, starting this year, has its own Slack channel. You may join a Slack channel and talk to other Tableau users around the world on the visualization that you like, or to show them the visualization that you have created, so that you may gain some insights on how you may be better or troubleshoot any aspect that you want. The Data Visualization Society also has a Slack channel. I'm not going to show you my Tableau Slack because it has some, NDA information in it, but I can show you my Data Visualization Society Slack channel. Let's see, good here. Yeah, so this is the Data Visualization Society Slack channel, and the Slack channel here, you can go to, let's say, let's see, go to share showcase or share inspiration. You will see some of the very cutting edge projects where people will show you, oh, this is something that I've created. I like to discuss about it so that you can, make meaningful connections with the people within the community of practice. Highly recommend you to check them out. Data Wrapper has its own versions of a weekly roundup, but they release it on every Tuesday. For example, and they call it the Data Wrapper Data Vis Dispatch. So a lot of Ds, triple Ds. Okay, for example, in this month, this week, there's this visualizations about Chinese war technology, which is very interesting. And different kind of chart types as well, so that you can see how people label the charts, what are the color choices, and so on. Earlier, you saw that I used Dribble. Dribble and Behance, for those who are not familiar with the term, they're basically Pinterest, but for graphic design. On my Behance and Dribble, triple B, it's not a typo. On my Behance and Dribble, I have curated a lot of accounts that I follow. They're about business dashboard or phone app design so that I can leverage the color palette, the design for my own personal projects. I highly recommend you to check all of these free resources out. So now let's go back here, talking about all of we plow through all of this basically. Great. Now let's talk about giving credits. Earlier in my visualizations, you have seen some of the visualizations were inspired by real life object or real life objects or real life symbols. Some of them were inspired by other Tableau public creators or other data visualization practitioners. So how have I been giving credits? A lot of people thought that, you know what, if I created visualization, I should take off the credits. I'm not going to tell people where I learned them from because I don't want people to compete with me. But the truth is, the ocean's so big that there's enough space for all of us. And I always encourage people to give credits as proper as you could because it empowers you as a creator. It shows that you're knowledgeable. You show that you know who has inspired you, who created what before you. It also shows your appreciation towards the creativity communities, right? So that you are tipping your hat to all of the people that come before you and tell them that you're all very creative. I appreciate all of you. And when you show the people that came before you, it very easily highlights what's unique about you in this visualization, right? When I compare my visualizations from the Flourish twins, I also know that I can immediately tell that, okay, I didn't want to use the size of a paddle as an example. I wanted to use the color of the paddle. So that's my unique take. And more importantly is when you publicly giving credits to other creators, it gives you an opportunity to create to these gurus that came before you. And also it provides online conversations between you and other data visualization practitioners. So you can make meaningful networking. So how have I been doing this? Number one, if I have the space, I usually credit the creators and provide a link to their sites at the bottom of my visualization, like at the footer part. If the creator is a Tableau public publisher or data visualization designer, I would also place the URL of that visualization that inspired me the most in the URL sessions at the bottom of the Tableau public page. Last but not least, I love to shout out to the people that inspire me when I created the LinkedIn or Twitter posts so that they knew that, oh, someone's learned something from me. I think it's a good way to give back to the community. It also tells other new learners that if you want to learn from me, you shall also learn from this person. So kind of expand the network in that way. So earlier I said that I'll give you more open resources. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Go to kevinwee.com. If you go to kevinwee.com, I've curated a long list of books, websites, visualizations, YouTube videos for you to learn more about data visualization. I will also provide a slide deck and a video recording of this talk once it's available on my website as well. You don't have to copy this, just my name, kevinwee.com. Earlier, we talked about these 3 learning objectives, right? So why don't we wrap up together? Number 1, at least 3 sources type that has inspired my infographic design. So here are just some examples. I talk about how I was inspired by other Tableau public visualizations. We didn't talk about this, but sometimes my visualizations are also inspired by other people's scientific visualizations, scenes in movies and TVs, poster design, illustrations, and real-life objects as well. Access to the resources that has inspired, that could be inspiration reservoir for your future projects. We touch on Tableau Public, DataFam Roundup, the Slack channels, data wrapper dispatches. I didn't have the time to talk about these other reservoir, but I feel free to check them out on Google. And of course, Dribble and Behance are excellent for graphic designer. 3 ways to credit sources that has inspired you. Mention them directly in your visualization. Place the URL in the inspiration session at the bottom of your Tableau public post and tag them on your social media post. So these are the ways to give credits where credit's due. So with that, I'd like to thank Anita for inviting me to give presentations and to meet the Charlotte Tuck folks. I'd like to thank Discover, this not financial services anymore. New name is just Discover. Thanks Discover, my company, for fueling my data visualization journey. And I'd like to thank so many people and all people in the DataFam community for being a constant data visualization inspiration to me. So with that, this is my Tableau. This is my social media links. Feel free to connect with me or follow me on all this platform. And thank you. Now I shall take questions.